All right, so there's probably 1,000 different reasons why real estate agents don't end up hitting their goal at the end of the year, whether that be they don't understand the 90-day rule, where, listen, what you will do in the fourth quarter of one year translates to the first quarter of next year, whether it's a lack of accountability, whether it's a lack of skills. There's probably a bunch of different reasons. However, in this video, I believe it's one of the main reasons why real estate agents such as yourself and others perhaps aren't where you want to be when you get to the end of the year. I'm going to walk you through my entire process, exactly what I do with an agent that I coach, so that you can get a really good perspective on perhaps what you can do so that you never end up getting to the end of the year just to be disappointed with what could have been. Because as we get into a new year and you get excited about new goals, we don't want to keep going down this path of setting really exciting goals, getting to the end of the year, and not accomplishing those goals. All right. So first things first, if you're going to go through this plan that I'm going to share with you today, you must first have a willingness to face reality. What do I mean by that? Well, it's easy to say, well, yeah, Brandon, I can face reality. I can handle the truth. Right now, in the context of this YouTube video, screen to screen, what I'm referring to is something very different. What I'm referring to is our ability to figuratively step on the scale and face reality on a consistent basis throughout the year so that we can face the truth and make changes throughout the year so that we don't end up not hitting our goals. What I mean specifically is a process that I call the business planning audit. I'll show you exactly how it's going to work. I'm going to share my screen and go through it literally verbatim with you. But before you even see that process, I think that the vast majority of the real estate people that I see, that I talk to, don't have this willingness to step on the scale, so to speak. Why? Well, they say they can face reality. They say they want accountability. They say they want visibility, right until it's time to get naked and step on the scale and look at what is true versus what this fantasy land that we live in, where we tell everybody how successful we are on social media, but we know behind closed doors that many of us aren't where we want to be. And we're going to put in a process so that that doesn't happen to you ever again. All right. So let me share my screen and we'll go ahead and get started. So now we have the assumption that you are 100% open to the idea of facing reality. I'm going to use some numbers that are obviously fake. Your numbers will probably be different. Let me make this a little bit bigger so that you can probably see this better. Okay. So first things first, I'm going to make up a goal that the agent has a $250,000 income goal that they want to generate at the end of the year. All right, fine. So what we have to do, I'm going to just make a quick action plan. All right, as if I was your coach and your goal was 250, we'll just make a quick 12-month action plan. And so this all will start obviously with working the numbers backwards. All right, so let's just say our average commission, and you could do this too if you haven't done so already for next year. Let's just say, for the sake of easy math, that this agent has average commission of 10,000. So they need 25 closings, right? Fine. 25 closings. Well, in order to get 25 closings, this is where some of the strategic planning comes in place. That's not necessarily what this video is about, but let's just say in order to get 25 closings, you need 31 listings. And let's just say that's because you've got an 80% list to close ratio. All right. Now, in order to get 31 listings, let's just say you've got a 50% conversion. So you need 62, we're going to say listing appointments met. All right, perfect. That means you go on 62 and you take 31. And in order to do that, we'll divide that by, we'll multiply that by 2 and say you need 124 listing appointments set, because you have a 50% ratio from the appointments that you set to met. And you're going to have to get some leads, right? So you're going to have 500 leads generated. I know I'm going through this quickly. I got another video on the channel. You guys can go back and watch that about business planning. This is about auditing the business plan. So I'm just throwing these in here quickly. In order to generate 500 leads through direct outbound prospecting, it's about a 10% contact to lead generated ratio. So this agent would need about 5,000 contacts. All right. So there's our simple action plan. Now, the first thing that we need to do is just break this into divided by 12, right? So the 1 month plan for this agent, all we have to do is just break this all down by 12. Or yeah, so 250,000 divided by 12. So this agent needs to generate $20,000 in income. They need about 2 closings per month. They need about 3 listings per month. Met, so they got 62 divided by 12. So they need 5 listing appointments set per month. Oh, I'm sorry, 5 listing appointments met. And you guys can follow along with your business plan, right? So in order to do that, they need to set 10. So they need 10 listing appointments set per month. And then they need, so 500 leads they need for the year divided by 12. So they need about 40 leads per month. And they need 5,000 contacts. If we say divided by 12, they need about 400 contacts per month. Okay. All right. So this is step 1. All right. So once we have our annual business plan, which all of you, by the way, right now should hopefully have done. And now we're just going to break that into what do I have to do every single month in order to accomplish this goal. And we break that into 12. Now, into 1 month kind of, into 1 month plan, right? Action plan. Now that I have done that, at the end of every month, so what I love to do is I like to carve out a couple of hours to work on the business. We're all so busy working in the business that once a month, I like to spend time going through my P&L, doing a business planning audit like we're just about to do right now, to make sure that I am on track for the goals that I've set. I'm being proactive. I'm paying attention. All right. So here's the business planning process. It all starts with the income that we want to generate. In other words, if we have to earn $20,000 a month to stay on track in order to make our 250, we're just going to start with the end and work our way backwards. So first things first, when we get to the end of a month, we want to say, okay, my goal was 20,000. What did I actually, so we're going to go, I could probably break this down. This will be a lot clearer. Why don't I do this? So I'll go here, just make a simple table. Now we've got a template for this, but I'll just make this really quickly. So we've got goal versus actual. Okay, so now let's look at this. This will be probably a little bit easier. All right, so at the end of every single month, I'm saying, okay, where do I have to be? In this case, I have to say, okay, the goal for me to stay on pace is 20K. How much did I actually make? What did I actually put in my bank account? It's not this number on a vision board. It's not this pie in the sky. How much money actually went into my business bank account? Now, as an example, I'm just going to say, okay, I put in $12,000. So and actually, let me just make one more. I'm going to say diff. Okay. Where did I fall short, right? So I'm going to put these to the right. So I fell short $8,000 this month. That's easy. That's simple. The question now is why? This is where the auditing process comes into play, okay? So, and this is where I think most of us really fall short. So let's do this. So the first thing we have to do, we have to say, okay, well, I know my average commission is 10K. And so the goal is to have 2 closings. I only had 1 closing. So the goal was 2. And I actually had 1. And so I was short by 1. Well, why was that the case? Why was I short 1? Well, let's keep going. Let's find out why. All right. So the next thing I said I needed to do is I have to take 3 listings per month. And in this case, well, I only took 1 listing this month, right? So the goal is 3 listings. I only took 1. I'm short 2. And I am short 1. And I'm short 8,000. So now the story continues. It's like, okay, well, this is going to become a huge problem. I have to take 3 lists. I'm short 2 now. This is actually getting worse. So what's actually happening? So let's just look. This is going to be very realistic for a lot of you here in just a second. The goal is 3 listings. The goal is to set 5 met. And I actually only went on 3. And I was down 2 here. Fine. And I'll tell you, here's what happens a lot of the time. So we have to, in this case, we need 10 set every single month. And in this case, we actually set 15. So we're plus 5 here. This is the first piece of data that's actually usable inside of the business plan audit. So this would require some, we need to see, okay, well, what's going on here? What's happening here that is potentially, it's only 30 days of data, so I'm not going to, get all excited about it, but potentially something for us to look at. So if I set 15 appointments, as an example, you might find this for yourself. If I set 15 appointments and I only went on 5, well, my ratio is way off of where I set the business plan. If you go right back to the business plan, we said that this is a 50% conversion. We said that 50% of our appointments that we set would actually turn into listing appointments. And in this case, we set 15. So 15, 5 divided by 15. This is a 33% conversion. So I'm just going to put this as a note. So this is a big deal. I need to really look at this as a business owner to say, okay, why is it that I'm setting plenty of appointments, but I only went on 5? So your appointment set to met ratio is way off. Let's just discuss that for a second. This is just a sample, right? This is what you would be doing every month. Am I setting, when I set appointments rather, am I walking the client or the prospect rather through a process of disqualification? Or am I forcing appointments? This is a huge distinction. This is a huge problem I see every day. At some point when you get decent at outbound prospecting, you've got some decent sales skills, you start getting really, really good at getting prospects to say yes to an initial appointment because of the skill set, but they're saying yes with no actual expectation of following through on meeting you. And so this is a very, very common issue. That's the symptom. The symptom is you set a lot of appointments. The cause is a lack of disqualification. In other words, many of us get so excited when we set an appointment. We get somebody to say, yeah, I'll meet with you on Thursday at 3:00. Sure. That the call ends abruptly. And what we have to do moving forward is say, okay, yes, the goal is to set the appointment, but I'm not setting appointments just to set appointments, just to check a list, just to appease my business plan that I built. I'm setting appointments to meet with people to help them buy and sell a house. So at some point, we have to address this. If this trend continues, it's probably a byproduct of you forcing appointments. And if you're forcing appointments, then we have to slow down and say, okay, I don't need 50 appointments set. I'm setting bad appointments. I'm forcing people to say yes when they're really not real appointments. So I have to do a better job of setting expectations of what this appointment is and what it isn't. And I have to do a better job of disqualifying, as an example. All right. So let's keep going. So I'll just insert another. So we know that's one gaping hole. The next thing we said is we needed 40 leads. We needed 40 leads. And in this case, we got 45 leads. This is fine. This is perfect. This is not an issue, okay? This is a non-issue. We're +5. We're in really good shape right now. And this is not an area of concern. And so when I say lead, just as an example, I'm talking about you had a really good conversation with a prospect, either at their door, over the phone, and they had clear motivation to sell their house. They have clear timelines. They don't have another real estate agent who they're obligated to work with. In other words, they verbalized that they would give you the opportunity to interview, to take the listing when the time is right. And then it was clear that they invited you to stay in touch, and you guys were clear on when that would be. When I say lead in this context of this video, that is what I'm talking about. So in this case, you actually got more leads than you needed. So that means you have your skill from first contact to lead generated is actually better than 10%. We're in good shape. We're exceeding expectations here. So in other words, if anything here, I might mark this as a green thing in my audit. Okay, I mark that as green. So let's go down to the next one. All right, this is typically where most of us fall short. All right, so the goal here was we needed 400 contacts. And in this case, I did 227. All right, massive. We fell short of 173. This is typically what I will see as the root cause of most of our issues in our business, is that we're simply not having enough good conversations with prospects for us to get enough leads, for us to get enough good quality appointments, for us to take some good quality listings, for us to make the money that we want. It's typically right here. Now, if you are exceeding your contact goal, all right, so you have the opposite issue, meaning, well, Brandon, I'm making more than 400 contacts and I'm not getting enough leads and I'm not setting enough appointments. That's my problem. That's another huge issue. Then the issue is all about our phone skills. And in that case, if that is happening to you, if, again, your business plan says you need 400 conversations per month, and you're exceeding that every month, and you're not getting at least, listen closely, at least a 10% conversion from contact to lead, meaning if you had 400 contacts, you should be getting at least 40 leads. And out of those 40 leads, you're not setting at least 10 appointments, going on 5, taking 3, then Houston, yes, we do have a problem. And that problem is your skills over the telephone. And so of all the skills over the telephone, we really have to break it down into 5 parts, okay? Part 1 is your ability to open up a conversation to get the prospect's permission to even have this conversation. This is where most calls fall apart within the first 30 seconds. Is you call a prospect and the second they find out you're your realtor, the call ends. Okay, I'll make another video on how to open up a phone call, but that's one thing we have to look closely at. How many of my phone calls, and maybe you track this for the next month, how many of my 400 conversations or 500 conversations, however many contacts you're making, actually go beyond 30 seconds? We have to look at that. That will tell you, and this is done in the business planning audit process that we're going to do every month. So how many of my contacts end up in a conversation longer than 30 seconds? If not many, that tells you that we need to work on the opening. The next skill you've got to look at is the ability to uncover motivation. Probably one of the best skill sets over the phone that you can develop. So when we talk about motivation, we break that down with all of our coaching clients into a very easy framework to follow. We call it DART, okay? Desire, ability, reasons, and time frame. So how good are you at getting through what we would call the discovery process over the telephone with a prospect where you've uncovered their desire to sell the property, their ability to sell the property, their specific reasons on why they want to sell the property, and their time frame for doing so. Motivation is the bridge that allows us to generate an opportunity or generate an appointment in the first place. And then the third skill is your ability to actually ask for the appointment. When you ask for the appointment, are you using a framework that allows you to get people to agree to meet you in person? Followed by the fourth skill, which we talked about earlier, is your ability to disqualify. Because it's one thing to set a bunch of appointments, get a bunch of people to say, yes, I'll meet you, and they never meet with you and you take no listings. That's one thing. We're not talking about that. We're talking about setting high quality appointments with real listing opportunities. How good are you at doing that? So if you have phone calls that you're able to get through the intro, you're able to uncover motivation, but you can't set any appointments, we need to work on that skill specifically, or your ability to disqualify after you've set the appointment. And then lastly, it's your ability to set next steps, is to get super, super clear with the prospect on what is going to happen next and getting their agreement around that. And so the process I just walked you through is a process that I recommend we go through every month. This will ensure that we are on track with the goals that we've set. And most importantly, whether you're on track or not, it puts things in front of you as a business owner to face reality, to face the truth, to say, where in my business am I falling short? And where do I need to focus on moving forward? Because I'll tell you, and I think you'd agree with this, don't get mad at me, it's just the truth. We're just talking about the truth here. Most agents fall short of their goals and they can't specifically pinpoint why. They can be vague. Oh yeah, I don't have enough leads. Well, what does that mean specifically? How many leads do you need actually to hit the goals that you've set? No idea. That's the truth. And so when you go through this business planning audit every 30 days, it helps to bring your awareness so that you can operate like a business owner, put the changes in place necessary so the next month we get right back on track.